Hi, everyone. Can I have anybody in the food room to come into the main room, if you can hear me? Good evening, everyone. How you doing on this rainy, cold, wet night? Hi to everyone, including all our old friends, new friends, neighbors, members, the board. Can I have anyone on the board to raise your hand? The current board, Wrightwood Neighbors 2012. Can I have any former president of Wrightwood Neighbors raise your hand? Lots of them. This is our 50th anniversary, and I would like to just take a little bit of time and welcome you here and thank you for coming out on Bear Weather Night. We really appreciate you being here, and I'd like to start off with a little short history. Can everyone hear me okay in the back? Okay, thanks. I can yell. So first of all, I want to let everyone know that during this speech that I'm going to give, the short history, I want to let you all know that anybody could speak up at any time if you have any tidbits or any anecdotes or any stories that you want to tell, because this is really to celebrate the history, and all of you are part of this history. So we really appreciate it, and I will not be offended at all if you interrupt me at any time for any kind of story you want to tell. In fact, I might defer to some of you, since I've been with the, by the way, my name is Dan Baranowski. I'm the current president of Wrightwood Neighbors. I've been involved with the association for about 6 years now, and a board member for 5 and president for 3. But I was born on the year that the association was formed. So I obviously can't know everything that's going on, and there's been a lot of history here.
You can't lie about your age.
So let's begin with our little trip down memory lane. I want to start out with, continental glaciers invaded Lincoln Park repeatedly during the Ice Age 75,000 years ago. A time when the ice was up to a mile thick in Lincoln Park, and giant sloths and mastodons roamed around here. What? Oh, you want me to speed up? Okay, sorry. Okay. I'll try to focus on the last 100 years. So Lincoln Park is one of the 77 community areas of the city of Chicago. When the Europeans arrived in the late 1820s, the area was really just forest and swampland. Wikipedia says there was a bunch of quicksand around here, so be cautious, please. Probably still is. The first development was a U.S. Army post near Clybourne and Armitage. Armitage used to be called Center Street. As indicated on the plaque of the Children's Memorial Site, Indian settlements were situated at what is now Halsted and Fullerton. In the mid-1800s, Ron Hansen put this out. He said you could buy land around here for about $150 per acre, $150 per acre. This area was really considered so remote that they put a smallpox hospital around here. Following the Civil War in the 1860s, our neighborhood was being settled by a variety of people, mostly of European descent, particularly those of the northwestern Polish ethnicity called the Kashubians and their allied German neighbors. The 1871 Great Fire swept through the north side and destroyed most of the structures here. During the next decades, massive growth of industrial plants, some of which had still operated up until very recently, such as Finkel & Sons, concentrated along the north branch of the river. Italians, Poles, Romanians, Hungarians, and Slovaks worked in these factories and established the working class character of the area. Many of these workers lived in the homes in the Wrightwood Neighbors area, though it was not given that specific identity yet. One of the main cornerstones of the neighborhood was erected around this time when Julia Foster Porter founded the Maurice Porter Memorial Hospital in 1882. It was an 8-bed cottage at Halsted and Belden, dedicated to the care of children. As we all know, it recently moved to Streeterville and is now known as the Lurie Children's Hospital. DePaul, then called St. Vincent's College, was also one of the cornerstones of our neighborhood and was founded around that same era by the Vincentians in 1898. Both DePaul and Children's Hospital are and were instrumental in anchoring the neighborhood and have played an important role until the present day. Chicago incorporated in 1837, but our neighborhood was not a part of Chicago until it was annexed in 1889. Did anyone know that the original Ferris wheel from the 1893 World's Columbian Expedition was relocated around here? Right where the McDonald's was. Right where McDonald's was. There was a small amusement park right there. It was then moved to Missouri after its little stint by us. By the mid-50s, during the Great Depression, Lincoln Park's housing stock deteriorated rapidly. The owners subdivided their properties due to the housing shortage and neglected their properties very highly. People were leaving the city in droves. Building maintenance was almost non-existent, and Lincoln Park existed as a depressed slum. By the mid-50s, people started to move back into the city. After World War II, residents of Old Town were worried about their properties becoming a slum like the nearby areas and formed the Old Town Triangle Association in 1948. That was the first neighborhood group really in the area. This inspired residents of the Mid-North neighborhood to create a similar organization in 1950, and in 1954, the Lincoln Park Conservation Association was formed to cover all of Lincoln Park. Back then, according to our real estate expert, Ron Hansen, you could buy a 2 or 3 flat for around $20,000 to $30,000. Another reason people started to return to the city was the prime location. In 1956, Lincoln Park was designated a conservation area, and in the 60s, the city began implementing its general neighborhood renewal plan. It was one of the first of its kind in the 60s. The third important reason people started coming back to live here was, of course, our proximity to downtown and the growing job market there. But they were primarily going east of Halsted, not to Wrightwood neighbors. The west area where we are at was still considered not very desirable. The Lincoln Park Conservation Association was really concerned that their emerging neighborhood would not survive surrounded by so many undesirable areas around them. So they were instrumental in forming other neighborhood groups such as Sheffield Neighbors, Ranch Triangle, Lincoln Central, and Wrightwood Neighbors. Wrightwood Neighbors was formed in 1962. The founding members included James Gauguin, the first president, Reverend Preston Kavanaugh of the Seminary Church, and Grace Northland, who was the first treasurer. We were one of the poorest of the 7 Lincoln Park neighborhood groups. Is there anyone in the audience who was present during that time that remembers how it was formed or what was going on at that time? I know, unfortunately, Natalie Fredrickson couldn't be with us tonight. She was there and participated. Anyone? Give us a little history of how it formed and these guys.
Little history.
Real short, Ron. Real short. We started the neighborhood group just similar to what we do today. We started the neighborhood group similar to what we do today. Yeah, there were gangs in the neighborhood, the mighty St. Unknowns and the Kansas City Royals who lived over on Wayne, and their shooting gallery was Halsted Street. And they would shoot there, and they would come up, and one night I was in my office, there was a hot dog stand there at that time, and they shot 22 shots at Elton Frank's hot dog stand, and 4 into my office. I had to dive under the desk. And they couldn't hit each other. They hit one of my tenants. They went to a tavern later, and they hit the guy next to him, and they hit a gang member. I remember we had a meeting. We never did it, but we voted. We were going to vote money to send them to target practice, so they become good marksmen and hit each other instead of all the other people. And the big thing is we work with the courts to get rid of them. If you don't go with the court, the gang members got off. And the gang members got off. So we would all, the judges let them off. But 4 or 5 members of the neighborhood group we would have there, and they would, when the neighborhood group was there, the judge would give them sentences. And we worked very hard on getting rid of the gang members. So,
thanks, Ron. Thank you, Ron Hansen. Hansen Realty. As Ron said, we were extremely active. Wrightwood Neighbors was extremely active in fighting crime, promoting anti-gang activities, and closing down undesirable bars and taverns. Now, what I mean by bad bars isn't the same as what we think of today. These bars commonly have the shootings, as Ron discussed, gangs and prostitution. As Ron said, we had a lot of shootings in the streets. One time they shot 22 bullets into Uncle Frank's hot dog stand and 4 into the street office across from it. Wrightwood Neighbors was outraged and especially upset because they were terrible marksmen. They often would hit people that they didn't. No, I did. They didn't hear. Wrightwood Neighbors was very active in putting pressure on slumlords to improve the buildings. The early renovation period was done by only a handful of small developers and resident owners. As the neighborhood began to improve, more residents started moving in. Very central to Wrightwood Neighbors was improving the schools. Until the mid-'80s, Wrightwood lacked the funds needed to support our goals. At that time, a few merchants held their own fest for their own profit. Several members of Wrightwood Neighbors sat at a booth at that fest to try to collect some money for the neighborhood in the early 80s. The original fest was then known as Harvest Fest. It was held in the fall on Wrightwood Avenue from Lincoln to Racine. There was dancing and music and food and a few vendors, but mostly people selling yard sale type items. It was a very do-it-yourself event. We received very little money, only a few $1,000s at that time. Once the Merchants Association disbanded, they informed Wrightwood that there would be no longer be a festival. Mike Romuto, where are you, Mike? Mike Romuto and Ron Hansen talked about putting on the fest ourselves as Wrightwood Neighbors. They went for it, and the rest is history. We now complete our 29th year in the festival. This fest has made Wrightwood be very supportive of our many activities and brought us from being one of the poorest of the neighborhood groups into one of the strongest, both financially and supportive to the neighborhood. We have had the wonderful opportunity to help thousands of children and adults, support the arts, support the community in general, share information. Can I have one of the board members talk about some of the great things that we have been able to accomplish and the organizations that we have supported? Let's give a hand for Alan Mellis.
Thank you all for coming. We have, if not the best, one of the best neighborhood associations in the entire city.
Yes!
And I just want to go through very quickly some of the things we've done. We have Jonquil Park. Everyone, some here remember, there used to be a CTA car barn. They used to store salt. Recently, Wrightwood Neighbors donated $250,000 to renovation of the playground. Our schools, we've worked very hard. I think Taste Lincoln Avenue has raised about $2.5 million over the last 20 years, and a lot of that money goes to the schools and programs in the schools to make them better. I don't know, Stacy, I don't think is here with us tonight, but Wiggly Field was the first dog-friendly area in the city of Chicago. And Diane Dorwart, that's correct. Wrightwood Neighbors developed the first long-range plan for the community in 1977. And when Mike Orfano was president, that was updated. And that's really been very important to guide our review of developments. I think you saw a picture up there. We were the first neighborhood association that donated bikes to the police department. And the story is the Schwinns used to live in our neighborhood. They lived on Montana, and they lived on Drummond. And they agreed to match what we were going to donate to the police under one condition. They didn't want anybody else to know they were donating because they were afraid everybody else would come, like people from Park West, and ask for a donation. We've worked over the years with DePaul and Children's Memorial Hospital, which has been very good because they've actually listened to us in their development projects. As you know, we have a new Lincoln Park Library. That was 1995. As Mike can talk...
Alan.
I'm sorry?
You.
Thank you, Edwin. Eagle Columns. You often know what Eagle Columns in Sheffield and Wrightwood. That was the first... We were the first neighborhood organization to raise money for public sculpture in the park. And that was done with Richard Hunt, who's in our neighborhood. And then just to wrap up, is that we really do, the people on the board really work hard and spend a lot of time making sure our neighborhood stays the way it is and gets better. And I really hope that the few people here who have not served on our board raise their hands and join us. Because it's if you talk, can I have everybody who is a board member or was a board member raise their hand? And all you people who are not raising your hand, go talk to them. And you
Or volunteer to be a board member.
and you'll find out that it's very, very rewarding to work in a neighborhood. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alan Miller. Right now, I would like to introduce Alderman Michelle Smith of the 43rd Ward. Before we do that, we're going to add something from Ron.
Put it real close to your mic.
Yeah. A lot of you don't know we're primarily 98% a neighborhood group. But a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, we raised a truck worth $40,000 to $50,000 worth of medicine, food, and clothing, and drove it down to the victims of Hurricane Katrina. And they were very, very thankful to get it, especially the medicine which they were out of. So the Wrightwood neighbors also did 40, a little out of their way.
Thank you, Ron. So it's not, as Ron said, it's not only always about the neighborhood, it's also about other things and just helping people in general. Alderman Smith, a big round of applause for Alderman Smith.
Thank you so much, everyone, for inviting me here tonight, allowing me to share your celebration. And I just want to start off by recognizing our former Alderman, Edwin Eisendrath, who's joined us here today. Please say thank you. He's been really terrific, a mentor, and of course, a wonderful Alderman here as well. It is such an honor to serve you. I will say this, even with other community organizations in the room, that Wrightwood Neighbors is probably the best organized and broadest based community organization in the world. And I really give credit to your governance structure with your very large board, your committees, the way you hold monthly meetings. I really think that you are a model in community organizing for the city and certainly in Lincoln Park. So really, congratulations on the wonderful work you do. You know, as I have learned, that the real strength in making change in our country is beginning at the community level. And this is where it's all about. I always say, if everyone in Chicago were as demanding as Lincoln Parkers, there would be no crime and all the schools would be good. So I did want to share with you this evening a resolution that we will be actually introducing and will be signed by the mayor in our October, in next week's city council meeting, but I wanted you to hear it first. I won't read the whole thing here. Here's our little lovely resolution from the City Council of Chicago. A salute to the Wrightwood Neighbors Association. Whereas, on September 21st, 2012, the members and friends of Wrightwood Neighbors Association gathered to celebrate this outstanding and remarkably successful community organization's golden anniversary. Whereas, founded in 1962, the Wrightwood Neighbors Association, comprised of neighbors and local businesses, are organized to preserve and enhance the quality of life in the Wrightwood Neighbors area by providing opportunities for involvement and advocacy on issues of community concern in order to make a positive difference in our area, whereas only some of the issues Wrightwood Neighbors has tackled in the past 5 decades have been crime prevention, planning and land use, parks, institutional relations, and beautification, as well as many issues of citywide and neighborhood concerns. Whereas the Wrightwood Neighbors Association, through its annual Taste of Lincoln Avenue event, has raised over $2 million to fund programs, and I'm just going to list a few, at Agassiz, Alcott, Mayer, Lincoln Park High Schools, small parks such as Jonquils, Supero, Wiggly Field, DePaul's Lincoln Parks Research Initiative, social action agencies, food pantries, after-school programs, school art programs put on by Looking Glass Theater, Mill Street Studios, Victory Gardens, and the Joel Hall Dancers. And whereas in my role as alderman, I seek the consent of City Council to congratulate you on this wonderful occasion, resolved that we, the mayor of the city and the City Council, do hereby salute the Wrightwood Neighbors Association and extend our heartfelt appreciation for your 50 years of dedicated and praiseworthy service to your community and to this city. Congratulations, and thank you all very, very much. Can you get a picture? Official picture!
Hold up the resolution.
Not upside down. Oh, no, he's got it. Got it? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Alderman Smith, and thanks for all you do for the neighborhood too. We also, I believe we also have Commissioner Fritchie's staff here. Commissioner Fritchie also is making a resolution with the county, but he was not able to be here tonight due to a wake of a friend of his. So I don't know if, do we have that person here for that resolution? Maybe not. At this time, I want to know if anyone else would like to make any comments or any observations or any anecdotes or anything before we... Sam, would you like to make a comment about the neighborhood or your experience with it? All right, let's give them a round of applause. One of the older members.
I came into the neighborhood in 1941. We lived at Diversey and Mildred. There was a building on the corner, and there's been a lot of changes since. But I have moved out of the neighborhood now because in my time, when we were young and wanted to be married and we wanted an apartment, they said if you had a dog, you could live here, but if you're going to have children, you couldn't. So that's how we moved out of the area. But this is just great. You people are just beautiful. And I'm jealous. I wish I'd stayed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The family has been very instrumental with Taste of Lincoln Avenue and all of Wrightwood Neighbors activities. So since I don't know what happened with the Commissioner Fritchie's staff, we're going to... Oh, sorry. Sorry, you must have had a little break.
Yeah, no, just go here. Do you have one too?
Yes, we got one from the alderman.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget. I'm from Commissioner Bridget's office. Unfortunately, the commissioner couldn't be here tonight. He had the death of a friend, so he's at a wake this evening. But I've come to bring the resolution. We just want to congratulate you guys on 50 years. Not many community groups can say that, so it's a wonderful accomplishment. So, congratulations.
Just fits.
All right, so here it goes.
You want me to read it?
No, I can read it. Whereas since its inception in 1962, the Wrightwood Neighbors Association, or WNA, has worked to enhance the vibrant quality of life for all who live, work, and play in Wrightwood. And whereas over the years, the WNA has diligently monitored important issues directly affecting the community, such as crime prevention, quality of schools, planning and use, beautification, and local business support. And whereas the Wrightwood Neighbors Association provides an opportunity for local community involvement by supporting desirable growth, promoting local businesses, and advocating for issues of community concern. And whereas every year, the WNA hosts the Taste of Lincoln Avenue, a 2-day event with crowds of over 50,000 visitors, which has raised upwards of $2.2 million over the last 28 years to help provide financial support for a number of local schools and organizations. And whereas any community would be fortunate to have an organization like the Wrightwood Neighbors Association, which for 50 years has defined what it means to be good neighbors and an active community group. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Cook County Board of Commissioners that the Wrightwood Neighbors Association be commended for showing an unwavering dedication to their neighborhood and the people who have lived in it for the last 50 years.
Thank you very much, Bridget, and sorry to hear about the loss of Commissioner Fritchie's friend. I'm sure he would have been here and had fun. He's also lives in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he planned to come, so it was fun.
Again, Wrightwood Neighbors doesn't really mean anything without the people that participate and the neighbors that live here. And I want to thank every one of you for your participation, and your coming here tonight shows that you support us, and we really appreciate every single one of you, and we look forward to doing 50 more or even more years of good community service. And thank you again. Everyone have a great rest of your night. Thank you for coming in this fair weather. I